Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Let's start with yet another important topic, that is alcoholic liver disease. First we will see the intro. What is the pathogenesis and etiology? What are the clinical features? How to diagnose, then prognosis, and finally what all treatment options are available. You can download the MediLectures app, which is available on Play Store as well as iOS, to download the PDFs of all the lectures, attempt-free test and various quizzes. You can also check out Harrison based test series course which is available on the app. So let's begin. First and foremost, chronic and excessive alcohol ingestion is the major cause of liver disease and it is responsible for 50% of mortality from all the cases of cirrhosis. So out of all the cases of cirrhosis, 50% are due to alcohol, that is alcoholic liver disease. Now the pathology of alcoholic liver disease consists of three major lesions. First is fatty liver, then alcoholic hepatitis, and finally cirrhosis. Now, fatty liver is present in more than 90% of daily and binge drinkers. Now, out of all these, only 10 to 20% will develop alcoholics and further fewer will develop the cirrhosis. Now, whether the patient will move from fatty liver to alcoholic hepatitis and further to cirrhosis will depend on complex interaction of facilitating factors such as what is the drinking pattern of patient, what is the diet, obesity and gender. Female gender is at higher risk of developing the cirrhosis at lower doses. Now, alcohol is the world's third largest risk factor for the disease burden, and most of the mortality due to alcoholic liver disease is secondary to cirrhosis and its complications. Now, if we consider most important risk factors, then these are quantity and duration of alcohol intake. Now, it is important to note that 1 beer is equals to 4 ounces of wine is equals to 1 ounce of 80% spirit, and these all equals to 12 gram of alcohol. So this is very important to calculate the exact amount of alcohol during the history taking of the patient, what is the quantity and what is the duration of alcohol intake. Now, what are the risk factors for alcoholic liver disease? First one is the quantity, as we have discussed. In men, 40 to 80 gram per day of ethanol will produce fatty liver, while 160 gram per day for 10 to 20 years will cause hepatitis or even can lead to cirrhosis. But it is important that only 15% of alcoholics will develop the alcoholic liver disease, not all alcoholics. Second important risk factor is gender, and women exhibit increased susceptibility to alcoholic liver disease at amounts only more than 20 gram per day. That is, 2 drinks per day is probably safe. Now, these gender dependent differences are resulting due to poorly understood effects of estrogen, body fat and gastric metabolism of alcohol. Now the third one is concurrent infection with hepatitis C. So hepatitis C virus infection concurrent with alcoholic liver disease is associated with younger age for severity, more advanced histology and decreased survival. Finally, genetics and fatty liver. So genetics, a protein known as patatin-like phospholipase domain containing protein PNPLA3 has been associated with risk of alcoholic cirrhosis, and alcohol injury does not require malnutrition, but obesity and non-alcoholic fatty liver are the risk factors itself for the development of alcoholic liver disease. Therefore, patients should receive vigorous attention to their nutritional support. So this important table is very informative and this should be remembered with heart. Now coming on to the pathogenesis of alcoholic liver disease, first we have to discuss what is the metabolism of alcohol in our body. So first of all, the alcohol is mainly absorbed through the intestine and in small quantities through the stomach. So there is presence of gastric alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme which initiates the alcohol metabolism in the stomach. In liver, there are three enzymes which are responsible for alcoholic metabolism. First one is cytosolic alcoholic dehydrogenase, due to which the majority of oxidation of alcohol occurs. Second one is microsomal ethanol oxidizing system, and the third enzyme is peroxisomal enzyme, which is peroxisomal catalase. So these three systems are responsible for metabolism of alcohol in liver, out of which the majority occurs through cytosolic alcohol dehydrogenase. Now what happens is that ethanol, with the help of this alcohol dehydrogenase, is converted to acetaldehyde. Now this acetaldehyde is the culprit molecule. It is a highly reactive molecule which are causing all the effects which are responsible for alcoholic liver disease. Now this acetaldehyde is then converted to acetate through the enzyme aldehyde dehydrogenase. So this is the alcohol metabolism in our body. Now alcohol acts as a direct hepatotoxin. The malnutrition does not have a major role in its effect because it is a direct hepatotoxin. The alcohol initiates an inflammatory cascade after its metabolism, which is responsible for the variety of responses. So we will discuss them one by one. The steatosis is due to fatty acid synthesis, increase in fatty acid synthesis, and decrease in fatty acid oxidation. Now this is secondary to its effect on steroid regulatory transcription factor and peroxisomal proliferator activated receptor alpha. Then there is intestinal derived endotoxin, which initiates a pathogenic process through toll-like receptor 4 and TNF alpha. Then we have lipopolysaccharide hepatic influx and intestinal microbiome dysbiosis. Also there is production of toxic protein aldehyde adducts, generation of reducing equivalents, and presence of oxidative stress in alcoholic liver disease. Finally, the activation of Kupffer cells, stellate cell activation leads to collagen production and fibrosis, and finally there is development of micronodular cirrhosis. Now this is because the nodule size in alcoholic liver disease is less than 3 mm. Now if a patient of this micronodular cirrhosis cessates alcohol, that is leaves alcohol, then this becomes mixed type of cirrhosis having both micro as well as macro nodules. So this was the pathogenesis of alcoholic liver disease. Now what is the pathology? Firstly, the fatty liver is initial and most common histologic response to hepatotoxic stimulus, and the fat accumulation in perivenular hepatocytes coincides with the location of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme. But in later stages there is involvement of entire hepatic lobule. Now it is important to note that even after such histologic changes, cessation of alcohol leads to reversibility of these changes. Now the presence of alcoholic hepatitis, giant mitochondria, perivenular fibrosis, and macrovascular fat are associated with progressive liver injury and a poor prognosis. Now the transition from alcoholic fatty liver to alcoholic hepatitis is blurred. Now what is the hallmark of alcoholic hepatitis? What is the pathologic hallmark of alcoholic hepatitis? This is ballooning degeneration. Now ballooning degeneration along with spotty necrosis, neutrophilic infiltrates, and fibrosis in perivenular and perisinusoidal space of disc are seen in alcoholic hepatitis. Also, Mallory-Dank bodies are often present, but these are neither specific nor essential to make the diagnosis of this condition. Like alcoholic fatty liver, hepatitis is also potentially reversible with the cessation of alcohol. So, fatty liver and alcoholic hepatitis both are the reversible condition, but once the cirrhosis is developed, this is only partly reversible. So, cirrhosis is present in 50% of patients with biopsy proven alcoholic hepatitis. So, once alcoholic hepatitis is developed, 50% patients will further progress to the cirrhosis. Now, coming on to the clinical features, first we will discuss the features of fatty liver. Now, these patients are usually asymptomatic and are detected on patients' visits for some unrelated condition. Now, some patients have symptoms including right hypochondrial pain, nausea, and jaundice. Now, drinking history accurate drinking history is required to differentiate this condition from non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, coming on to alcoholic hepatitis, this has a wide spectrum of symptoms ranging from being asymptomatic on one end of spectrum to having fever, spider nevus, jaundice, and abdominal pain so severe that it simulates acute abdomen in some cases. Now, portal hypertension, ascites, varicose bleeding can also occur in patients of alcohol hepatitis without developing cirrhosis. Now, this is a very important point that development of portal hypertension can occur even in patients of alcoholic hepatitis. Now, finally, coming on to the clinical features of cirrhosis, these can also present with non-specific symptoms like vague right hypochondrial pain, fever, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, anorexia, and malaise. Alternatively, these can present with more specific complications of CLD like ascites, edema, upper GI bleed, jaundice, or encephalopathy. And physical examination often reveals icterus, palmar erythema, spider angiomas, parotid enlargement, clubbing, muscle wasting. Now, in a male patient with alcoholic cirrhosis, there is decrease in the body hairs. There is development of gynecomastia and also testicular atrophy. Now, this is due to relative excess of estrogen in such patients. On the other hand, females present with menstrual irregularities and some become even amenorrheic. Now, on palpation, there is hepatomegaly, splenomegaly, and the edge of liver is firm and nodular. In end stages, there is shrunken liver, which is floating in the abdomen full of ascites. Now, coming on to the laboratory features. First, we will discuss the fatty liver. Patients with alcoholic liver disease are often identified through the routine screening test. In fatty liver, there is non-specific and modest elevations of AST, ALT, and GGT, often associated with hypertriglyceridemia and hyperbilirubinemia. When we do the ultrasound, there will be fatty infiltration seen in the liver. In alcoholic hepatitis, the AST and ALT are elevated to 2 to 7 folds, but this will be less than 400 international unit. Now, the specific finding in alcohol related disease is AST to ALT ratio. This is usually more than 1 and it is usually 2:1, which is suggestive of alcoholic liver disease, and if it is 3:1, then it will be highly suggestive, sometimes diagnostic of alcoholic liver disease. Along with this, the additional finding in alcoholic hepatitis other than fatty liver will be modest elevation of alkaline phosphatase. Now, this can be due to intrahepatic cholestasis due to inflammation in the liver. Now, advanced disease is marked by hypoalbuminemia and coagulopathy with elevation in prothrombin time. Again, USG will show fatty infiltration, but this time there can be presence of portal flow reversal, ascites, and intra-abdominal venous collaterals, which will indicate severe liver injury. Now this is a summary of all the investigations. AST is increased 2 to 7 fold and less than 400 but will be greater than ALT with AST ALT ratio more than 1. GGT is non-specific to alcohol, easily inducible and elevated in all forms of the fatty liver. Bilirubin may be markedly increased in alcoholic hepatitis despite the modest elevation in alkaline phosphatase. Now coming on to the lab abnormalities seen in the cirrhosis. Early compensated cirrhosis may have absolutely normal lab values. On the other hand, in advanced cirrhosis, following abnormalities can be seen. First of all, there will be anemia in patient, and this anemia can be due to a multitude of factors. These include chronic gastrointestinal blood loss, nutritional deficiencies, hypersplenism due to portal hypertension, bone marrow suppression, which is the direct effect of alcohol, and Zeev syndrome. Now, Zeev syndrome is a special type of hemolytic anemia due to alcohol in which there is presence of spur cells and acanthocytes. Now, thrombocytopenia develops due to portal hypertension and splenomegaly, which leads to peripheral degradation of the platelets. Serum bilirubin, as we have discussed, can be normal or elevated. Prothrombin time is often prolonged and will not respond to vitamin K. Serum sodium can be normal, but if the patient is developing ascites, there can be hypervolemic hyponatremia. Hyponatremia associated with hypervolemia. Now, AST-ALT ratio we have discussed is 2:1, and on USG there will be shrunken and fibrosed liver in the late stages of cirrhosis. Now, what all are the poor prognostic factors? First of all, the critically ill patients with alcoholic hepatitis, the 30-day mortality is more than 50%. So, in such patients, the 30-day mortality will be more than 50%. The patients who have alcoholic hepatitis and are critically ill. Now, severe alcoholic hepatitis is characterized by coagulopathy with elevation of prothrombin time more than 5 seconds than control, anemia, hypoalbuminemia less than 2.5 gram per deciliter, hyperbilirubinemia more than 8 milligram per deciliter, then renal failure, and finally ascites. Now, two scores are very important in defining the prognosis. First one is discriminant function. The formula is 4.6 multiplied by PT prolongation, and this value is added to the serum bilirubin. Now, if it is more than 32 or the MELD score is more than 20, then it is associated with significant mortality in patients of alcoholic liver disease. Poor prognosis, as we have discussed, is associated with ascites, variceal hemorrhage, encephalopathy, hepatorenal syndrome. And what is the 5-year survival rate in cirrhotics who continue to drink? This will be obviously less than 50%. Now, the treatment part of this condition. Firstly, the cornerstone in treatment is complete abstinence of alcohol, complete abstinence from alcohol. So this is the most important part in the treatment. Other drugs we can discuss like glucocorticoids, prednisolone 32 milligram per day or prednisone 40 milligram per day can be given in patients for 4 weeks and then can be tapered. Now this is given if the discriminant function is more than 32 or the MELD score is more than 20. Since glucocorticoids have anti-inflammatory action and will therefore slow down the progression of active alcoholic hepatitis. Now it is important to note that glucocorticoids should not be given in patients who have active GI bleed, patients of pancreatitis and renal failure. So these are the contraindications of using glucocorticoids in alcoholic hepatitis. Now, being a non-specific TNF inhibitor, pentoxifylline is also tried in patients of alcoholic liver disease, and some studies have shown improved outcomes in the patients who have been given pentoxifylline. So these can be used either alone or with glucocorticoids in these patients, since TNF alpha is involved in the pathogenesis of alcoholic liver disease. Also, we have to keep in mind that we avoid the concomitant hepatotoxic drugs, especially acetaminophen, that is paracetamol. The maximum dose of PCM in a normal individual is 4 gram per day, but in cirrhotic patients this should be less than 2 gram per day. Finally, we have option of liver transplantation in patients of alcoholic cirrhosis and its complications. The liver transplant is at the last the best treatment option available for these patients who develop cirrhosis. So this is the algorithm for giving the glucocorticoids. Firstly, we will try to abstain alcohol in the patients, give proper nutritional support. Then we will calculate the discriminant function from the formula. If it is more than equal to 32 or the MELD score is more than 20, with absence of any comorbidity, there is no contraindication like GI bleed, renal failure or pancreatitis, we will start the patient with prednisolone 32 mg or prednisone 40 mg per oral daily for 4 weeks, followed by a taper dose. So this was all about the topic. I hope you liked the lecture. Kindly hit the like button, share the lecture with your friends, your batchmates, and kindly subscribe to the channel so that we can grow the channel together. And I hope you are enjoying this initiative. Kindly download the MediLectures app where you can download the free PDFs of all the lectures, can give free tests, also attend various quizzes. You can also check out Harrison based test series. And thank you so much guys. Thank you so much.